everyone. Welcome to our next episode of Black Girl Joy. I am super excited and ecstatic about our guest. But before I bring her on, I want you to like, share, subscribe. I want you to remember to comment while we're here, and we'll read and respond to your comments on the air. So I was so excited. I invited this person to join me, and I was like, I'm taking a risk, but I'm gonna send this message and see what happens. Maria. Maria has an inspiring Instagram and TikTok out of this world. I have been watching her live her very best life, which kind of I started seeing more after retirement. I said I have to have her on to talk about these moments. And I see that Amanda Marie is also excited. She's already written in. Can't wait to see and hear one of my bestest friends. Love you, girl. Gonna be like you when I grow up. So let me not put this off any longer. I'm gonna invite Miss Maria Warren to the stage. Hi, Maria.
Hi, Roselle. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm excellent.
Thank
Excellent.
you. Know what? I want to first say thank you for inviting me here today. And congratulations on your podcast. It's just great. Good
Thank you.
job. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
letting me come.
Thank you so much. So before we get started, like into the deep of it, I was inspired by your Instagram. I think the handle's Maria's Moments. And I was like, living in the moment and how that can improve our lives so much. Can you tell me what inspired you to live in the moment or to create the Maria's Moments?
Yeah, well, I enjoy my Instagram, I have to say, and I enjoy it even much more now that I'm retired. I took a little bit of an early retirement from a corporate gig that I had for many, many years, and in doing that time, I feel like I missed some good moments. I miss some recitals and some school plays and things that now I don't want to miss anything. So now that I am retired, I took a risk and I said enough. I'm done. Now that I'm retired, I don't want to miss another moment. So I make sure that I capture those on my Instagram. It may just be my rose garden, or it may be when I'm at the Bruno Mars concert. But whatever it is, I want to make sure I capture that. Yeah, yeah.
No, that's awesome. And so when you're talking about this, what stood out to me is you said, I realized I missed some moments before retirement. And it always seems like we have these life-changing events and we're like, wait, I've missed so much. So what brought on that realization? Was it just retiring and having more time? Or what kind of brought that feeling about?
Well, that too, but I tell you what, with age comes wisdom. So you do learn to appreciate or even focus in on those things that are most important to you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not unusual at transitional points in your life that you kind of assess
Mm-hmm.
where you are. Are you living the life that you want to live? Are you doing those things that are important to you?
Mm-hmm.
And that was part of my realization too. But I did have some help. I had been working very, very hard. Like I say, when you and I met, we were in corporate America, and you know
Mm-hmm.
how that goes. So
Yes.
working very hard for a very, very long time, and didn't feel like I was focused on those things that make me feel good. I was still just really, really stressed out and really still pushing for that next thing. And with when COVID came and the social unrest and all this stuff, just climate change, even. I mean, it made me feel some kind of way.
Yeah.
It made me stop and take a look at where I am. Am I going where I want to go? Am I doing those things that I want to do? So I just, like I say, I just took that leap of faith and said, I'm going to stop right now and make a course correction. We're still breathing, so you can always correct it. So I'm in that point now where I'm making that course correction to actually focus on those things that are most important. So that's how it came about.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people felt that when it came to COVID and the pandemic, It
Mm-hmm.
was like, wait, what's really going on? I'm stuck in the house and I'm stuck with this job in the house every day.
Especially if it's a job you don't like.
Exactly. With the kids, right? I'm homeschooling. I'm doing all of this stuff, but am I really enjoying anything?
Yeah. And the clock's still ticking, guys. Each day, is another day. It's another chance for you to change up and focus on what's most important. So that's what I call myself doing right now is living in the moment and taking it all in and being grateful and thankful for where I am. I had a lot of negative talk that I would tell myself. I would beat up on myself a lot because,
Mhm.
again, working in corporate America, you're having to produce and you're looking for that approval
Mhm.
for whatever project you're working on. But now it's like I want my own approval. I approve myself. God approves me. I'm just
Yeah.
enough, doing what I want to do. So that I had to change that negative self talk in my head,
Mhm.
and I did have some help. I told you I had some. Well, I did have some losses coming out of COVID, some traumatic events, and I had been into like some grief counseling.
Mhm.
And one of the things that the counselor was telling me is how are you mind how you're talking to yourself.
Yes.
Speak to yourself like you're a toddler. Be gentle. Say nice
Mhm.
stuff. Don't be like, Maria, you idiot. I can't believe you messed up. You did that again. But you wouldn't say that to a toddler, would
No.
you? You would be nice and gentle and say, that's okay. You'll get another chance to try again. So correcting that negative self-talk too, you got to change that, what's going on in your head.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And that's practice. So
Oh, yeah.
even for myself and as a coach, I hear it so much and I have to watch my own self when I'm talking to myself. We can be harsh.
Mm-hmm.
We can be harsh. And I think some of it may come from growing up. I always say my mama was she was what I call a child of the civil rights movement,
Yeah.
and she was in the South. And so
Mm-hmm.
you had to have a certain amount of toughness to
Yeah.
get through that. And they passed that toughness on, but it as a kid, it feels like criticism all the time, right? Like
Yeah.
never feeling good enough. And I feel like that kind of carries on when you become an adult. It's like, no, I gotta be good, I gotta be perfect.
I know. I mean, growing up in the South as a Black woman, it has its own challenges. So,
Hmm.
your mom was doing her very best, I'm sure,
Yeah.
to make you tough enough to,
Hmm.
withstand those challenges. Of course, my mom was a saint, so I can't see that.
Well, that's positive. That's
But I do get where you're coming from, though. You do have to have a little bit of toughness, but there's a balance there. You can still be gentle with yourself because,
yeah.
look how you turned out. You did great.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, what do you think the hardest part about changing those thought patterns that will allow you to live in the moment? Because I think it's all about thoughts, right?
Oh,
Sometimes
yeah.
we're living in the past,
Mm-hmm,
right? And
mm-hmm,
we're
mm-hmm.
trying to make up for what happened in the past, whether it's guilt, regret, whatever that is. We're living there, or we're living in the future. Like, I'm not good enough now. What am I going to do in the future? I got to
Exactly.
run this rat race,
Yeah.
or we're living according to what we see other people doing.
Mm-hmm,
And we're constantly comparing ourselves. So,
mm-hmm.
what is the trick to keep your brain in the moment?
Well, you know what? It takes practice, like everything.
Hmm.
How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. So, how do you get to that wellness in your brain, in your mind, that peace? You have to practice it. So, every day you're telling yourself I believe in affirmations, so I have affirmation stickers on my mirror. Every day you're telling yourself that you are approved by God, that God approves you and he has a plan for you that you just can't even imagine. So it's what you're tapping into. You have to practice that all day, every day under your breath. You're kind of telling yourself, hey, that wasn't half bad, Marie. You made the bed this morning before 9 o'clock. You're doing good. So it takes some practice. You just have to keep telling yourself it just doesn't happen one day because we're bombarded with all this negative stuff. You see it on
Hmm.
don't turn on CNN.
Right.
You see everything that's just in your face. So you have
Hmm.
to do the work and put some other things in your face. you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes the stuff we say is so instinctual. And
Hmm.
so it's sometimes you may need an accountability partner. You may need that
Oh, yeah.
friend, that therapist, that coach, someone to say, "Did you
Absolutely.
hear?" Like there's
Hmm.
so many times where I ask a client, like, "Did you hear what you just said?" You keep kind of repeating that. Can you tell me why you're repeating that? And they're like, "You're right. Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out."
Absolutely.
And so
Hmm.
sometimes you need that. You
You
need that
do.
other person to kind of help you on that journey.
You do, and that's part of it too. I do have a good support system. I talk a lot about on my Instagram. You see, I talk about sisterhood,
Mm-hmm.
and
Oh, yes.
it's very important to have that support from my sisters and my sisters from another mister. Just my sisters in general, just
Mm-hmm.
sisterhood. But it's all those things that we can tell each other. I've been there. I felt like that, I was when I was raising my child, if my child was 9 or when, they
Mm-hmm.
can give you some another perspective
Yeah.
or heck, make you laugh. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes my sister says things that make me just have a belly laugh. You just laugh so hard. So it is important to have that support system, be it sisterhood, brotherhood,
Mhm.
your mom, your dad, but to have that connection so some people can kind of like, kind of shake you, you know, shake you
Yeah.
on track. Hmm.
Yeah. And so let's talk about creating. Let's start with the first part, creating your moment. What comes to
Yeah.
mind when I say that?
Well, what I was thinking about was you have to be intentional. Like I said, you have to do the work. You have to put in some work. You're not always going to be invited to the best party of the season. So you have
Mhm.
to do the work and be intentional about having a good time. Create those fun moments for yourself. And little things, just focusing on little things. I'll give you an example. Give yourself something to look forward to. Husband and I, we have Taco Tuesdays. So we look forward to on Tuesdays, we're going to have
Uh-huh.
tacos and we're going to watch the FBI's on TV. So that's
The
something,
what?
all the FBI's on TV. It's like FBI Most Wanted and FBI
Oh,
International. And,
no.
oh, yeah, it's a lot of
You sound like
FBI.
my sister. I can't watch
Yeah, I
all
like
of
those things, but that's just to say, give yourself something to look forward to. We were, I was feeling some kind of way and just needed some cheering up, and we were wanted to go see that movie, the Wakanda Forever movie.
it. Mhm.
So we made it a family affair. Invited the mother-in-law, the sister, cousins, got matching T-shirts, and went to see Wakanda Forever and had a good time. And I felt so much better after that, just being
Mhm.
with others and being in that environment. So when I say create it, I mean you have to do something yourself to have some fun or to make yourself feel good. I don't like cleaning. So if I'm cleaning up around the house on Saturdays, you all hear me. I pump up the music. I just be jamming, but I still have to vacuum the floor. But
Yeah.
it's just like in those moments, create something to make it a little bit more enjoyable for you.
Yeah, I like that. And I agree about the intentionality. And part of one of the descriptions I wrote on one of the posts, I can't remember where, was how living in the moment can really change the trajectory of your day and your life. And so it's not that you don't think about the future and you never think about the past, but I found that going through my own struggles and
Mhm.
my own turbulent emotions around my mama passing and stuff like that, I really had to learn how to like focus in the moment to
Yeah.
get by. So if I'm taking a walk and the sky is just beautiful, sometimes I just take a walk and I stare at the sky. Or if I wanted to, for a while, I was doing something every weekend. I'm gonna go hike up the mountain.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go do yard work, which I had never mowed a yard until this year.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
and I was like, yeah.
I know. Pat yourself on the back, girl. Ooh, I know that
But
long.
yeah, but it was like, let me create a moment, even if it's just a beautiful flower or sitting in my little small apartment and being like, I remember when me and my son was sleeping on the couch,
Okay. There
at my
you go.
sister's house. So
There
being
you go.
able to recognize even
Mhm.
the smallest of wins, because they're still wins, and
There's
being
still
able to soak it in and like savor it for a
mhm.
moment.
Mhm. Exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself. Savor it, be in it for I always I told my daughter, I was like, it's those pinch myself moments.
Mm-hmm.
Make yourself remember it. Pinch yourself and say, yeah, I do remember when, we had a 2-bedroom apartment and now we have a house, you
Yeah.
know. So pinch yourself in those moments so to make you appreciate, how far you've come, and it
Mm-hmm.
makes you feel better about yourself.
Yeah, and I
Mhm.
think so often we neglect, right? Especially when you're driven, being in the corporate world or being in a family that may be extra driven and push you, push you, push you. We're always feeling like, what is next? I feel like we live in a society, even with like TikTok. Let's take TikTok, for example, right?
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
addictive because you're like, what's next?
I
What am I
know.
going to laugh at next?
I know.
So we're constantly looking for the next high, the next excitement. And it feels like if we're not in that moment, then
Exactly. I was thinking that too. But it's just conditioning.
mhm,
That's the way we're conditioned in this society that we live in. It's like, what's that next big thing? You're focusing on that. What am I planning for the next 30 days and the next 60
mhm,
days? And like in corporate America, we would always have to set those goals and what's that next role you have. And I'm like, I like the role I'm in right now. Can I just kind of like bloom where I'm planted? I like this group, but it's always you're being pushed for
mhm.
that next thing to where you're not even thinking about or appreciating this little quirky group that you work with right now. You might just want
Yeah.
to stay with them, or what you're doing right now. You really do enjoy it. But we are conditioned to always go for that next, to push, push, push.
Mhm.
And sometimes you just have to stop. I'm telling you, stop, breathe, take it all in, and ask yourself, what's most important. Are you having any fun?
Yeah, and I think that's so undervalued. So I have a confession, right? So when I first started out, I've always been I've always been very driven, right? So when I was in corporate, I never stayed in a role longer than 2 years. It was like, yay, I got to go, I got to go, I got to go or I'm bored. So I remember being younger and thinking, "Wait, this person doesn't want to be promoted. Like, is that okay?" Right? But then as I got older and like even now as you're talking, I'm like, what a privilege it is to be in a place where you feel like, no, I feel really good about where I am.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so underappreciated and
It
never
is.
really valued. But that's such a good place to
Mm-hmm.
be in
Mm-hmm.
to say, I'm actually happy where I am and I'm okay. And the boss is like, no, you got to do something.
You like,
It's
yeah,
not okay that you're okay.
no. We're just conditioned to push for that next thing, and I'm a woman of faith, so I believe that God created this world for us to enjoy, and He wants us to have peace and have a life of fulfillment. And He doesn't want us to always be rushing, rushing, rushing through life without even looking up at that sun, that
Yeah.
beautiful sun. Or you know what? I developed an appreciation for sunsets since I've been retired, because usually I'm like commuting, so I'm like driving, at
Uh-huh.
home. By the time it's nighttime, I'm in the commute. I'm not looking at a sunset. Or even with COVID, and I was stuck at home and working from home. I worked on that computer, from sun up to sundown. I
Yeah.
miss sunsets, but now you should look on my Instagram post. I have all these beautiful sunsets. Atlanta has some really beautiful sunsets.
Yeah, it does.
The sky just changes all kind of colors, and that
Mhm.
only God can do that. So you're doing that appreciation thing, okay, and you're taking some time to soak it all in and be in that moment, because that one won't come again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's look at some of these comments coming in.
We
Miss
have
Amanda
comments.
Marie, she said, love your hair. She got to be talking about yours because that's bouncy.
Your hair is pretty, Roselle.
No, but yours is like bouncy. It
Yeah,
got
well, I
all
was trying
the
to get ready for this thing, so I wanted to be ready for you.
it is nice. And then we got a hello from Connecticut from the Nubian Queen. You know, we love Nubian Queens. That's what we all about.
Uh-huh.
Miss Amy Bennett, I'm so far behind on comments, so it's gonna seem like a minute. Two of my favorite friend ladies. Oh, thank you, Amy. I miss you.
Aw.
Oh, let's go to lunch. And then Russell Butts, which is my brother. So it's great start. Yeah. And then he put a comment. Let me get your thoughts on this. I can't seem to find the enthusiasm to look for that next moment. What do you think about that, Maria?
Well, it's not so much as the enthusiasm, but it's more of purpose it in your mind. Say it out loud.
Mm-hmm.
You know, say it out loud. What is good? What can I focus on? What's happening right now? What is good? Where I
Mm-hmm.
am right now. So it's purpose it in your mind, and then look for it. You have to seek it, and
Yeah.
and it's there. You just have to seek it and find it.
Yeah, even to the smallest things, like we were saying, like you do sunsets. I used to take so many pictures of just clouds. I don't know why. I love clouds.
There
And
you
so
go.
I would take moments of clouds. So I agree with you that it's not necessarily the enthusiasm,
Mhm.
it is grounding yourself and almost, I don't want to say taking yourself out of the moment, but almost silencing the noise, right?
Yeah.
Silencing the noise, silencing the negativity, even if you have some around you. And sometimes there are life situations, right, that
Oh
put
yeah.
you in the negative mindset. But
Mhm.
just saying, okay, I'm gonna silence that all right
Mhm.
now. And
Mhm.
for me, it's like, okay, I'm gonna turn on some Beyonce and I'm gonna blast it till my neighbor's mad. And they never knocked, so I guess it's
Okay.
okay.
It's
But
fine.
I'm gonna do this, and I'm like gonna sing belt this song out, and I'm gonna sing good about it, and
Mhm.
all this stuff, just
Mhm.
to be in a moment where I feel good,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Where I
You
feel
have to
like,
practice it.
even if it's sitting in my car, I'll drop my son off at school, and I'll sit in my car and listen to the radio for like 15 minutes for no reason.
There you go. There you go.
And it's just creating a space that feels
Mhm.
safe and it feels peaceful. And I guess that's what it is, almost like creating peace, right? These peaceful
Creating
moments.
peace, creating joy, creating peace.
Hmm.
Same thing. Mhm.
Yeah. Look at Miss Marilyn. Do you know Miss
Oh, that's my
Marilyn?
sister.
Hey, little
Hey.
sis.
She's part of the
Hey.
sisterhood.
But yeah. So, oh, look, Amanda said both your hair.
See, there you go.
Thank you
Thank
for
you,
including
Amanda.
me. That's awesome. But let's go back. So
Okay.
we're talking about the creating and the living in the moment
Mhm.
and really finding that what do you think? Like what would be one suggestion for somebody to really like get into their moment? And I feel like the word gratitude is popping up in my head. But what would be your suggestion? Like, okay, you have a lot of noise around you.
Mhm.
And when I say noise, I mean like physical noise or just
Mhm.
mental noise,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
How do they escape that
Okay.
to create a moment that's
Okay.
going to be good for them?
Yeah, Rizal, we all have those moment by moment struggles that we do have to respond to.
Mm-hmm.
And it for me, I say it's what you choose to meditate on, what you
Mm-hmm.
choose to zero in on. I have a scripture that I recite before I have to do any public speaking because public speaking is hard, y'all. It's not
Oh
easy
yeah.
to do, okay? But it's Psalms 19 is like, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart
Mm-hmm.
be acceptable in thy sight, oh Lord, my strength and my redeemer. So
Mm-hmm.
I usually say that because I'm saying, let the words of my mouth, I want to make sure that I'm, saying the right things and Lord help me kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that I will say to myself. But I have a verse that I get every day that's prompted on my phone, and that particular verse came up today. So it's making me think about. I had to mention that simply because that is one that I always say, and the other part of that is meditate.
Mm-hmm.
The meditation of my heart. what are you meditating on in any given situation at any given time? It's that meditation. What's resting with you? I
Mm,
mean, bad things happen, you respond to them, but what is resting with you? Meditate on the good, meditate on the things that are above and not beneath. So you have to practice that meditation. Now, for some, meditation comes in the form of music. You like to listen to
mm-hmm.
music, you like to listen to gospel music or jazz or whatever. For others, meditation comes from when you're journaling and you're writing down your thoughts, or just sitting quietly. But the key is meditate. What are you meditating on?
Yeah, I like that. And one of the things, and this is just like a quick, tool that I used, was I went to church and I can't remember it. And now my phone is broken. But I went to church and he had this quote, and I can't, like, for the life of me now, I can't remember it. But one of the things I started doing was when I really wanted to stick with something. So it was a quote that was affirming to me in some sense, right?
Mhm.
I literally went into the alarm on my phone. I made a daily alarm. I relabeled because you can create custom labels for your alarm. I put the quote as a label for the alarm. And every day at that time, I would read that. And it helped me so much with just refocusing,
Mhm.
not being as hard on myself, because I was like, this is what I needed to hear. And now I need to hear it every day until I don't need to hear it. Right. And
There
so
you
I put
go.
it in my phone. I'll put
Mhm.
it in a calendar invite and
Mhm.
I'll remind myself, what do I need to hear? Whether
Mhm.
it's telling yourself to be kind to yourself,
Right.
right?
Right.
Well, whether it's telling yourself, be present in the moment, what's happening in this moment.
Mhm. Mhm.
And even in those negative times, being able to refocus and recenter on, okay, this is the attitude I want to have right now. It's
Right.
not always going to be good. I had a bad attitude last week, right? I had a bad attitude last
It
week.
happens.
I did. I did. And it might have took me a couple of days to get out of
Okay.
it.
Okay. Mhm.
But I have to come back to, I was telling my friend, I was like, I may get on here and I may like rage and vent. But I was like, at the end of our conversations, like I laugh about it, right?
Yeah.
And so even if you have to get it out, purge it out, write it, have
Mhm.
somebody you can have multiple people you can call and vent to so you ain't overwhelming one person.
Okay.
Right?
Right, sis.
Just saying, if it happens a lot, but get it out, like get
Mhm.
that negativity out. And sometimes we feel like we're a burden. You're not a burden. Get it out, and then be thankful for the person you had to get it out to.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like, be thankful there. It's
Mhm.
something, right? It's
Mhm.
something there. But
Mhm.
move through that negative moment. If you feel like it's just too overwhelming, give yourself
Yeah.
time, move through it, and then say, I'm so glad I'm done with that.
I
Be
know.
be glad to be done with it.
I'm really glad that there's more of a focus these days on mental wellness. It's not taboo to talk about if you had to see a therapist or you
Mhm.
wanted to see a therapist, or like you said, you're talking to your friends or calling them, and so it's not taboo to seek out that mental wellness as well.
Yeah.
So that's really encouraging to me, because sometimes you do have to get someone to talk to.
Yes, and as everyone knows who watches this show regularly, I'm a huge advocate of therapy. I go to therapy regularly for years. I am a huge advocate for therapy because it's a way to get things out,
Yeah.
but sometimes you may not want to involve people who are close to the issue, right? Because they're going to
Right.
have their own perspective.
Mhm.
It,
Well,
get- it can
and
get
then for
iffy.
me, we're of two, I mean, different generations. But for me,
Mhm.
it's like I don't want anybody to think I'm crazy, But it's like that's not what it is, Maria. So for me, it was a big step to even
Mhm.
get into the counseling and accept that, and use the tools, and prove to myself that it really does work. So I'm late to the party, but I'm at the party. I'm
Hey.
seeking that mental wellness. I'm on that journey.
Yeah, that's awesome. All
Mhm.
right, so I have had you for 30 minutes.
You
Let's
have? It has
Yeah,
not been 30 minutes.
I told you, like, it goes so fast. It seems
Mm.
like it's gonna take a long time, but it goes really fast.
Okay, now you're gonna have to invite me back then. That's all it is.
Okay, I'm 100% down. And I already think I know where. I already think I know where.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
Amanda She said, I'm sitting here nodding and nodding in affirmation to everything you both are saying. I always look at the sunset and take pictures nearly every evening. Like, I need to start doing that. The sunset is so pretty, but I'm
So
usually like sleep because I'm
oh, Gazelle Princess at 5:45. Come on.
okay. I'm not asleep, but during the summer, I'm probably asleep. Willie Perry said, when your heart tells you the new thing is not fun, keep it moving. That can be true too. Because sometimes we'll make a decision and we feel like we have to stick ourselves, like, oh, I got to commit. What are people going to think if I like don't commit to this? Blah, blah. Don't worry about it.
Keep moving.
Keep it
Yeah.
moving.
Keep
Keep
it
it
moving.
moving. You
You're
know.
being true to yourself. So tell yourself the truth because that gives you some joy and
Let
some
me
peace.
tell you,
You
if
know,
you can't be honest with yourself, then that's a whole nother show.
that's
Are
another
you
show.
honest with yourself? Are you honest with yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh yeah. And then we're gonna have to come back to you about burying the pain, right? We're gonna
Yeah.
have to come back to you because you can't bury the pain. It's
No,
it's just
I mean you're just covering it up. It's gonna come
yeah.
back. You have to deal
Yeah.
with it, and you have tools. You can deal with it.
You
No,
can.
I'm proof you can deal with it. You
Yes,
can
me
move
too.
forward.
Yes, living proof. You can deal with it and move forward. You just got to be willing to take the extra step.
Yeah, you got to do the work.
And it's not fun. Like it's not
No,
fun.
not at
No, when
all.
I first went to therapy, I thought, and I love, like I'm a self-help junkie, right? I love self-help stuff. Love it. And I went to therapy and I sat there and she was like, "So what's going on?" And I was like, I don't want to tell y'all my business. Like
I
I
know.
was so excited to come, but when I was there, I was like, but I don't
Tell
want
all
to.
your business.
But
Yeah.
now I'd say, hey, I know you're gonna think I'm crazy, and she's like, I can't say think that. I'm like, so I'm gonna tell you. I know this sound crazy, or I know I'm wrong, but I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you. But it does, and I would also say, and I don't know this to be true, but this is um my kind of thought about it is a lot of times being African American and Black, we have a hesitation when it comes to any type of care, right? When
Yeah.
it comes to mental health care, when it comes to physical care and going to a doctor, we've been taught to be relentlessly independent and anything else is less than. And
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
like
not true.
you don't want to let them see you sweat, kind of
You
thing.
don't want to let them see
You
you
don't
sweat,
want to
which
look
is,
less than you are already. Coming in the room, the only one in the room. So
yeah.
don't come in there sick.
Yeah. And so
So,
what I want to say to that is, first of all, it's wrong.
it is.
Everybody needs a level of care. But
Mhm.
when it comes to finding a therapist or a doctor, whatever it is, make sure you find somebody that you click with.
Right.
Because if you find someone you don't click with and that's not servicing you in the way you need to be serviced, then you're going to feel like it's a waste of time. And you're going to be
Absolutely.
like, it's probably going to do more harm than good. So I
Mhm.
always say, instead of avoiding it, find someone, take a little bit of time, and it's uncomfortable looking
Yeah.
for anybody to care for you. But find
Yeah.
somebody you click with. Find someone
And
that
you,
you
you
think,
you have to do the work. Like I said, if you know that's not working, you move on. Find you
mhm,
another therapist. You have to do the work. I'm sorry, some things just don't happen by osmosis. You have to put in some work. You have to do it.
yeah, you got to do it. And it's worth it because you're worth
Oh yeah,
it, right? You're worth it.
absolutely. You're worth it.
All right, everyone. I need to put Miss Maria. Oh, don't get mad if I call you Miss. I have a friend who gets mad if I say Miss. Sorry.
Oh, I know. I look. I'm one of those. I'm like, you don't have to say Miss Maria.
I call a lot of people Miss. I call my niece Miss. She's saved in my phone as Miss because she's such an old soul. Like,
Oh
my
my
goodness.
goodness.
All right, I'm gonna put Miss. See, look there I go.
Look, Miss Maria, go
Miss
ahead.
Maria's TikTok in the chat. So be sure to go follow her. She has some great content. So
Thank
be sure
you.
go follow her. Stay in contact. She's gonna inspire you every day, and you get to see sunsets. Right.
There you go. And
All
more.
right. Well, thank you everyone for joining. We are logging off. See you I don't know if you're going to see me next week, but I will keep you guys posted. But we will definitely be here the next week after that. We're going to start tackling motivation. So, how do we keep our motivation through 2023? And then we're going to do a show about dedicated to Black history. So, we're going to be talking about my Black story. So, how Black history has impacted my life. And I'm going to have Miss MJ Larkin back on to talk about how Black history like directly intersects with her life. And I would love to hear your stories. All right. So we'll see you next time. Thank you. Thank you, Maria.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye bye. Have a good one.